My name is Oscar Pistorius. They call me the Blade Runner. I'm just an ordinary guy really, but I'm driven. And when I'm on the track, it's the crowd that inspire me to succeed. I do it for them. This is my South Africa. Now come discover yours.
It's called the beautiful game. And what better place to celebrate than in the most beautiful country, with the most beautiful people in the world. My name is Lucas Radebe.
This is my South Africa. Come, discover yours.
I'm Kinsani Nkosi, the founder and creative director of Stone Cherry. When a woman's wearing Stone Cherry, we want her to feel absolutely beautiful. This is my South Africa. Now come discover yours.
One thing that people need to realize about Kruger is that it's massive. It's a very large park. If you can get out into a wild part of Kruger, you can really get a feeling of solitude. This is my South Africa. Now come discover yours.
What makes South African cuisine so special? A perfect setting, welcome guests. Why don't you try for yourself? I'm Ruben Riffel, and this is my South Africa. Now come and discover yours.
When I was about 4 years old, I got my first motorbike. It was a little 60cc four-wheeler, and I had that for a couple of years, and I think I just really enjoyed it. And you know, doing sprinting, I mean, it's also, you know, something that's tied quite closely with speed. And it's funny enough, I really enjoy speed when it's on the ground, but if I have to go into the air, I kind of get really scared. So you know, I've just enjoyed it from quite a young age, and it doesn't seem to. You know, it doesn't seem to have any boundaries. It's usually in the car, on the bike, or on the track, you know, and I just really enjoy it. So I think it gives you that certain adrenaline rush that really makes it awesome. You know, on a daily basis, I mean, Monday to virtually Friday, we've got 2 training sessions a day, which, you know, it isn't that hectic, but you know, it seems to drain your body quite a bit. And then usually on a Saturday, we'll do 1 training session, and then get Saturday afternoon and Sunday off. Usually when I choose time to unwind, it's usually on the track, and you know, it's just a really wonderful place to be. It's kind of you're so focused on what you're doing that you kind of forget about everything else. And although it's not the best physical training for athletics, you know, it definitely does your mind a lot of justice. I don't think I'd ever come close to Valentino Rossi's times. You know, those guys are absolutely amazing, but I'm a huge fan of his, and you know, if I see the hard work and dedication that goes into any sport, I mean, a lot of those guys have been riding professionally from the time they're like 13 or 14. But I think I'm more of the recreational rider that likes to believe that he could be among them, you know. But I think that's the fun of it, you know. Anybody can come out on a track day or a trials day and have a lot of fun, and yeah, that's pretty much the part that I enjoy about it. Coaching role is a very important role. I mean, you know, you can't only have a coach that's experienced and has a lot of wisdom and a lot of, you know, has a lot of knowledge where his coaching comes in, but he actually has to have a very personal relationship with you and understand you, because some days as an athlete, you know, being a human, you're sometimes tired, you don't feel like training, and if they push you too hard, you could get very frustrated. And other days, you know, you do muck about a bit, and then he needs to be on your back and say, listen, yeah, you know, we do need to train harder, this needs to be done, this needs to be done.
53.45, we need to do 52.9. I think just go for it and just do it again.
And I think, you know, there's different times in the season that you need to perform, and other times that you can have, you need to be more constant. So I think a coach's role is extremely important, not only in planning a season, but also getting you into the condition that you need to be in so that everybody else is happy. You know, my coach, Ampilo, has been absolutely phenomenal. I've had him since the very first day I started athletics, and he's quite a laid-back, quite a relaxed guy, and he usually talks quite a lot, but he's a very knowledgeable guy. He's been in coaching for about 32 years. I mean, he's got me definitely to where I am today, and I'm sure he'll get me a lot further by the end of my career, and I've got a lot to thank him for. There's often that saying, oh, you know, I had a culture shock. You can't get culture shock that easily if you go anywhere in the world, because we've got such a vast array of people in South Africa that we're very lucky. I mean, we can go whether it be cuisine or it be fashion or it be just the small traditions, we're able to experience that all here on our own doorstep without having to go anywhere overseas, and I think that's extremely special. Kids have just got such great opportunities in South Africa. It's such an amazing country. We've got, you know, one of the most beautiful landscapes. You get to go outside in the afternoons and enjoy it, and I think kids just really need to put their minds to achieving what they can, and you know, when they do that, anything is really possible. I think being South African has definitely played a huge role in my life so far. I think growing up in South Africa, we sport crazy, and I think that's definitely helped me overcome my disability. And then, I mean, if you look at the geographical kind of setups of the city here, you know, we're very lucky in the sense that we've got loads of space to play as children in a relatively safe environment, and I think that also helps contribute quite a lot to my career. I think people are going to leave you know, the Soccer World Cup really being amazed at the experience and you know, just the complete different vibe of what Africa has to offer.
They're really going to turn the amp up to 11.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be like a 10 out of 10 is expected, and I think they're going to get like a 14 or something.
You know, you meet a South African, you know, and you feel different, you know. You feel like you've been knowing the person already, you know, for a while, or you met that person before. That's how welcoming they are, and that's how friendly the people are, you know. They can make you as comfortable as you like, you know. I mean, they can invite you to their homes and share a plate, you know, of food with you. And I think that is one of the plus, you know, of South Africa. You know, they make what South Africa is. We've got beautiful places, you know. We've got nice beaches, you know. We've got great destinations, you know. But one of the best is Soweto. You know, the lifestyle in the shanty town. You know, where the atmosphere around the place, it's amazing. Everybody's free, everybody's mingling around. You know, you don't have to make an appointment to see a friend or to see somebody. You just knock on the door and went in. If he's not there, then okay, I'll see him tomorrow. But then if he's there, you hang out, have a cup of tea, and then you move on. And then I think that's how the people are. That's how we were born. I mean, that's our hospitality. Talking about the legacy that the World Cup will leave behind, surely an African team will be hoisting that trophy. You know, that would be a dream, and I think that would be a great achievement, you know, for Africa to be recognized as an African and getting the African nations on par, you know, in terms of sport with the Europeans. But surely we should benefit, you know, in terms of the infrastructure. I mean, that's what we were wanting for. You know, it's a pity that football is to come, you know, in order to gain, you know, all those developments, you know, all these great stadiums. But I think it's for the better, you know, of the country and the better of the people who live there. You know, as we all want to do the best we can, you know, as individuals, you know, whether it's in football, in sports, or tennis, and whatever. And I think that opportunity is there, the platform is there, you know, for these kids to use that. And as well, you know, to say to the world, you know, come, you can, we're big enough to host a great event, you know, in every way we can. You know, and not only that, we've got to enjoy the tradition and the culture and the heritage, which in Soweto, there's plenty of that history. You know, it's boys. So that's how proud the people are. So we got the name, you know, but we're not as young to be called boys, you know. But it's been a most popular name, not only in South Africa but across the world. We've got that thing to
with the name of the players, with the nicknames, you know, like mine was Roo. So when you walk in the field of play, you said Roo, and you think they're booing. And then there's Matthew Booth, who's a defender who's playing now. So once he runs in, said Booth, all the stadium was all. So which is great. Before we had shoes, so people had to come with a shoe. And we had fish. They bring dead fish. For me, with the Roo, I mean, they never brought anything, but they only show the number, which my number is number 19, you know, which was popular. I don't know who's got it now, but I think somebody's got it, and they were supposed to retire it, but no, but it was great atmosphere, you know. Normally, you know, they bring all the macarapas, the vuvuzelas, you know. People's got all kinds of jerseys, you know, and it's brilliant, you know. So it makes you cry when you play. No, I'm joking.
That's great. All right, that's fantastic.
Funkifying, what does that mean? I guess it's really about taking things from the past, things that are old, and making them part of popular culture, giving them a new voice, a new expression, a new identity, making them fresh, making them relevant, coolifying them. The drum campaign, which we started about 7 years ago, is a very important part of building the Stone Cherry aesthetic. And I think South Africans have really embraced our effort to make our history part of popular culture. We approached the Bailey's African Historical Archives, who own all of these fantastic images that captured life in Sophiatown, in the townships and the peri-urban areas of South Africa in the 1950s. So for us, it was, you know, quite a significant period. Stone Cherry has always been about wearing your ideology on your sleeve, being bold, being proud, daring to be proud to be African, because for the longest time we, you know, kind of saw it as something we should be apologetic for. So I think Stone Cherry is about connecting you to your authentic self. And a lot of our customers say, wow, when I was in one of your garments, I felt amazing and everybody noticed me. And that's what it's about, is really just finding the best you and enhancing you. We've been very passionate about working with communities, and over the last few years have started working with crafters throughout South Africa, and it really has been the most enriching experience, because in a way, you know, it's very easy to talk theoretically about how you know, you get your inspiration from heritage and culture, but I think working with the crafters has enabled us to have a direct connection to culture and heritage through these amazing women who have got so many amazing craft techniques that they've learned over the years. So from beading to embroidery to texturing and dyeing of fabrics, all of those amazing things that I think Africa is so good at doing. So, you know, for us this has been a direct connection to culture and heritage. Obviously we've always used silhouette, and we've always used all of the richness that exists on this continent as part of our inspiration. I wouldn't change anything about my life. You know, when I was growing up, I always had these women that I admired who had their own businesses, and it always kind of seemed like it was this graceful, you know, juggling act. And it's anything but graceful. I mean, it's tough. You're constantly trying to find a balance, especially because of my kids. You know, obviously in terms of my career, my focus is on my business, and that's my baby. But I also have 3 babies that also need my attention, probably more than my business. So it is pretty tough. It's tough being a woman in business, but I think the passion and the commitment to influencing in some way how Africans feel about themselves I think that passion and drive keeps me doing it.
Endangered spaces is probably, a new thing we need to look at. With all the development going on, national parks and reserves are getting more and more isolated and becoming more and more island in this big developed world that we live in these days. People often need those kind of places just to unwind and really experience where our roots come from. What people need out of wilderness is just that feeling of coming out of the rat race. I mean, most people grow up in cities these days. Life is very hectic. We've got cell phones, we've got email, you have to be available 24 hours a day. And nowadays, if you can get out into a wild part of Kruger on a hike or trail, you can really get a feeling of solitude, you can connect with your spiritual side. You can learn so much in the classroom, and you really can learn a lot. These days there's a lot of textbooks and whatever that you can learn about almost any subject here. But definitely experience is what counts at the end of the day, and you only get that by spending time in the bush. One thing people need to realize about Kruger is that it's massive. It's a very large park. It's 2 million hectares, 20,000 square kilometers. So it depends how much time you have available, but the best kind of itinerary would be to do a certain amount of self-driving where you drive yourself around, and then to combine that with a certain amount of the guided activities that are available in the park. If a wilderness trail's for you, try get onto a wilderness trail, or perhaps when you're at the camps, book on one of the day walks or the night drives, sunset drives that are available at the camp. Go out with a guide, because our guides are quite knowledgeable and they're able to share a lot of that knowledge with you. So I'd always advise guests to do a bit of a combination, making sure they make use of our guided activities and at the same time doing a certain amount of self-drive so that they can follow their own schedule. Guests often ask me, they've asked me when I'm out on a game drive or a trail, what's the best time to visit the park? And the park changes so much over the different seasons that each season brings something special. At the moment it's starting to get dry. If you had to come here in November, December, everything would be starting to go very green, and you'd see the impala lambing season, all the young impala running around. So each season sort of brings something different. At the moment, a lot of our migratory birds are leaving the park, heading off back to Europe or into Africa especially, and they'll be coming back again November, December time usually. So each season is different, so there's no one season is best and one season is worse. It depends what time you come, what you're going to see.
I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones. I think there's so many people that get the opportunity to work with good people. I'm from this town, and invariably you end up working whether during a school holiday or whether just after leaving school, you end up working in a restaurant. And then it evolved into something that became my profession, because just being inside of it and being part of it, I realized that I actually enjoy it. I enjoy the adrenaline rush of getting ready for service, cooking and sending out food to 120 people, and making sure that everyone is happy. The world is huge. For me, it's always amazing when people say, we'll see you next year again. It's not just something they say. They come back every single year, and I see them every year, and I've developed and I've made friends like that. The perfect dish is always when everything comes together beautifully. It's all about the simplicity. I like the simple things. If I can pick something out of the ground and if I can cook it and eat it then, that would be my perfect dish.
most amazing thing about our mutual business is that we spend a lot of time with like-minded people, and I guess if you think that's how we met sort of 12 years ago. You were cracking out the gear in a great Afro-chic restaurant, and I was getting going here at Buchanan's Kloof.
I don't really know that much about wine, that's why I got to be your friend.
The wonderful thing about our wine business is that we're not really governed by the bureaucracies of the European wine regions. South Africa is a veritable fruit salad. We can grow what we like, where we like, and eventually we found suitable climates. We found here in Afro-chic particularly, Semillon works well. We've got the luxury of some really old plantings. This is a sample of our 2008 Buchanan's Kloof Semillon. This is our premium white wine. This is from those vineyards that date back to 1899, so even by world standards, a really spectacularly old vineyard. And this is the entire production, so less than 1,000 cases that's going worldwide. Semillon's one of those white varieties that really enjoy some age. So this is 2008, so 13 months in barrel, now in tank. We're going to bottle it. We're going to keep it back 2 years before release. So you're only going to see this the other side of 2011. You'd really want to enjoy this inside of a meal. That soft shell crab, that crab tempura that we had the other evening was just spectacular. That just works so well. Delicate, rich.
Like you said, it's great food wine as well. My philosophy really is simple, and I think every good chef or person that loves food will tell you the same thing, is really to just respect the product, the produce, and do as little as possible to it. So it all comes down to simplicity, and trying to maintain the integrity of the ingredients and just bring out the best, and that's really it. This is the beauty of being able to cook and being able to meet up with like-minded people again, is that some people are just focused on their small product or vegetable or fruit that they produce. And this is a new thing for South Africa really. It hasn't been like that before, where chefs had that close relationship with people like that, and that's what makes it more exciting. We're not trying to be super inventive in terms of our dishes. We're just trying to respect really what has been produced by these guys that surround you, and that want to be also proud of having, to see it on a table being used and cooked with respect, which is important, and being able to sit down there and taste it with some wine that's been produced down the road. I think that makes everything, there's a special feeling when you can experience that you can't put your finger on it, but it's there.